Welcome everybody tuning in to Blainline TV around the world. You're watching round 2 of the New South Wales Motor Racing Championships at Winton in Victoria. So yes, we are heading out there, improved production, over 2 litre and under 2 litre cars on the circuit. I am Dan McCarthy. Alongside me, somebody who knows a lot about improved production racing. He was up at the 6 hour with improved production just a couple of weeks ago. Steve DeFries, thank you for joining me in the comms box, mate.
Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be invited with thanks to the Improved Production New South Wales Racing Club. Most of you would recognise the name and the voice. Have been a hallmark of improved production in Victoria for the last several seasons, so it was very appreciated to get a bit of a gong and come up and support the New South Wales guys as they kickstart their club championship here at Winton Motor Raceway for the very first time, almost as far as I can see from the record books. And speaking of record books, we've got another record here as we look at the grid, because we have an under 2 litre car on pole position for the very first time here at Winton Motor Raceway, with Ryan Gorton taking his Nissan Silvia to pole ahead of Andy Sarandis in the Evo 8 from South Australia. That's the first time there's been an over and an under on the front row in over 6 years. The last time was Jordan Cox and Ray Hislop, with Ray on pole and Jordan alongside him back in 2018. Andrew Butcher from Victoria in 3rd place alongside Lockie McBrien, both in BMWs. Nick Agland will make it a trio of BMWs pursuing the leading 2. He starts out at 5th alongside the Toyota Corolla of Matthew Burks, with Stephen Engel, who's your defending over 2 litre champion from 2023, in 7th, ahead of the returning Danny Castro, who's been away for at least 12 years and has got a Nissan Silvia under him for this weekend. Kurt McCready, who's your defending 4-time under 2 litre champion in New South Wales, starts out of 9th alongside Brett Porter from Victoria in the bright yellow Honda Civic, with Paul Javots from Victoria behind him, and Matthew Giantini in 12th place. Then we go back to Jiwei Chen, Tim Robson, Wayne Twist and Craig Caspers, Shad Hansen, Timothy Molesworth, Mark Lamore and Mark Harwa, Matthew Wildridge, Matthew Lamore, Michael Ricketts and John Markwick in the Pulsar. And toward the back of the grid we have Max Robson, Joseph Lenthal in the BMW, and the last car on there will be just waiting to see it tick over. Didn't quite get the last one that was on the list there, but we do have 27 drivers. The last one was actually Woods, who I do believe is not going to be taking the start, with some mechanical gremlins arising from practice and qualifying this morning.
18 minutes plus 1 lap ahead of us. Great field of improved production cars, as we say. So many coming over the border. It's a really interesting front row. Silvia versus Evo. Who's going to win the drag race to turn number 1? We're about to... Oh, what a start from the Evo. He's bolted. He's got 50 metres already, 100 metres already. They haven't even got to turn number 1 yet.
Massive launch from Andy Sarandis. Got the boost and the rovers completely dialed in from the clean side of the grid and executed it perfectly. The 4-wheel drive Evo takes off towards turn 1, 2, and now on toward turn 3, leaving the Silvia of Ryan Gorton, I guess, in the dust and under some attack from Lockie McBrien, who's had a good start, moved up 1 spot into 3rd place there in the BM's number 52 BMW E46, pursued by the other 2 BMWs you see there of Andrew Butcher in the Epilepsy Foundation machine, and Nick Agland right behind him. Believe it or not, the car in 5th place is Andrew Butcher's old car from Victoria, in the hands of Nick Agland, and Butcher's had a bit of an eye on him for this weekend just to see how he goes. Didn't want to quite be shown up in his old machinery.
Silvia of Gorton is caught up around the twisty section of Winton, but look at the way that Evo accelerates. These 2 cars, you can already see on lap number 1 the way they achieve their speed so differently. It's going to make for a fascinating encounter, and that's what makes improved production so interesting to watch as well, isn't it? How they achieve their speeds differently, and we can see is, look at that, the cameraman having to zoom out. Look at the margin now, but as we get to these twisty corners, Gorton will close back up around the tight right-handers, but on the pit straight, once again, the Evo will pull a margin, and this is the difference between over 2 litres and under 2 litres. It's all to play for out there on the racetrack as we complete lap number 1. The margin 1.1 seconds.
Certainly is. So it'll be very, very interesting now to see where the under 2 litre cars can make time on some of their other competitors as we look back to the 2 naturally aspirated SR20s under the Nissan Silvias coming up and over the rise down towards turn 3. That's your defending champions, actually both defending champions on screen there. The under 2 litre of Kurt McCready, who's had a moment on the exit of turn number 3 and had to get out of the throttle. That lets Stephen Engel in the Evo 7 by and up into what would now be 7th place. And then Matthew Burks, who started in 6th, has now lost a couple of spots. He's actually missing part of the front bar assembly after a trip through the grass at turn number 1 during qualifying this morning.
Absolutely. We have to thank Crisis Transport and Logistics for making this broadcast happen with improved production here this weekend. And we can see that machine in particular, as you say, is just inside the top 10, but it's on for the lead in that twisty section again, as we see the number 43 car slide around the outside. In fact, I think the Lexus is
it's the Toyota Altezza there of Woods. Now, they were talking about not taking the start because they had some rather nasty mechanical gremlins this morning, and the car actually sounded rather sick going down the front straight. So they have taken a start, but there might be a reoccurrence of some of those gremlins that are going on, and he was being rounded up by, I think it was Mark Lamour there going around the tight twisty part of the circuit. There's a 15-second penalty showing for Timothy Molesworth in the blue Toyota Celica. He's currently down the order in, was it 18th place at the moment, and that's a rather serious infringement for a 15-second penalty. Normally it's 5 seconds for a jump start. 15 is usually something a bit more than that.
Yeah, normally it's an incident which you are solely at fault for, so not quite sure there what is the cause of that one. Fascinating New South Wales improved production. We've spoken about the classes, but there really is 2 classes. Unlike Victoria, there are under 2 litre cars, but there's a real strong field of both in New South Wales.
Yes, this weekend we were looking up and down the list, and it was fairly close to an even split of 50-50 overs and unders at one point. And the unders cars just slightly have it, to the point where in New South Wales they do need to have 2 grids because they do have a lot more numbers in unders that couldn't quite make it this weekend, and they do have to run those extra grids just to get make sure the capacity constraints are met. You can see on your timing graphic on the left-hand side there, the cars numbers that are highlighted in red are over 2 litres, and the cars that are highlighted in white are the unders, so it makes it a little bit easier to follow. As we can see here, heading down towards the final couple of corners, you've got Craig Caspers and Paul Javots from Victoria. They're being assaulted here by Joseph Lenthal, who's had a couple of years away and has picked himself up a BMW E36, which he's been breaking in over the last couple of weeks. And this is its first proper hit out. Before he managed to acquire that car, he last raced 4 years ago in a Mazda RX-7.
Yeah, and it was a big late braking move, fired it up the inside, now sliding out sideways at turn number 2. Lenthal pushing really hard early on in this improved production race. Didn't sound quite right in qualifying under brakes. It was squeaking and making a few odd noises under brakes, but that was the reason why he qualified quite far down the field. But moving forwards at a vast rate of knots in this one as he catches up to the machine ahead. Is he going to go around the outside? We saw a move there in XLs earlier on today, but not able to do so in improved production. He'll swing it up the inside here, though.
Yep, up the inside. But Craig Caspers is quite a wait to that. Late braked just as late as Joseph did, and holding on to 10th place here. So this is the battle over 10th with the RX-7, 11th for Lenthal and Javots in 12th. Oh, that's super tight then. A little bit of minor contact, I think, just at the apex of the corner there. Not quite enough room for Lenthal to wriggle the number 8 machine through at turn number 9. And Javots glued to the rear bumper. Oh, check out the air time for Lenthal. The left-hand side tyres getting plenty of air underneath them as he clipped the inside curb at the very tricky turn number 10. Asking a lot of the car here.
Top 2 pretty close still. The margin actually came down on that last lap to 1.4 seconds.
This is on board with Matthew Burks in the Corolla. So he's currently 9th on the road. Just ahead of him, Kurt McCready and Danny Castro. So They're both in unders, and they were both very well matched in qualifying this morning. They didn't have much for Ryan Gorton, but they were definitely equally matched, only with about 2/10 or so separating there. Kurt getting a little bit too greedy on the outside of turn 3 and kicking up a bit of the dust, but manages to hold on and not lose too much ground to Castro. But this is the real corner, isn't it, Dan? This is the one where you can make up so much time. And look at Burks. He closes in the second part of the corner, but then Sylvia just pulls away a touch, just in that little chute between turn 5 and up to turn 7, just to insulate himself from a possible attack down the inside at 7.
Absolutely. And brilliant footage there brought to us by Blendline TV in the Crisis Transport and Logistics machine. Number 82, there they go past the very slow-moving Toyota that is a lap down, but trying to get some points on the board in his class. So continuing to lap around the circuit. We're 11 minutes into this one, 7 minutes to go, so we're well over halfway now. And we're still seeing PBs from many competitors further down the field, but this is a closing battle now between these three as they catch up to the white machine ahead. Can't quite see who that is.
That's the Castro number 26 there.
26.
Of Danny Castro. As I said, he's been away for the better part of 12 years. Had life, had a family, as we all do. You know, family things and businesses, things come into play. It's good to have him back out there. He always stayed in touch with the club and definitely wanted to get back out there one day at some point and do some racing. He has got his hands full with Kurt. There's some parts of the circuit where Kurt's definitely got the edge and some parts where Danny's got a little bit more speed. So it's a bit of and what they call an elastic gap at the moment. It gets bigger at some parts of the track and it gets smaller at other parts of the track.
Certainly is. They are all in the under 2 litres class, all three of these, Castro, McCready and Burks, and they all set PBs on that last lap through. So good laps coming in, 33.5, 33.7, 33.8. So really close between the trio. And then we look back at something a bit different.
We've got two very, very different cars here. We've got the Escort of Matthew Wildridge, the number 37 machine, and he's being pursued by Shad Hassan in the number 75 RX-7. Shad was one of the competitors that, like several in the field, that went up to the Bathurst 6 Hour a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately for him, ended up with his RX-8 being pretty badly damaged in an incident down at the Chase and had to rebuild that car so he could compete in Formula RX-8. The other weekend at Sydney Motorsport Park, he's got the RX-7 back out and going along nicely for improved production this weekend. Here's another under 2 litre battle here. You've got Jiwei Chen, who is pursuing Tim Robson in the Civic. So actually 2 Civics, plenty of Civics in the field this week. It's actually good to see the different makes and models of the Honda Civics. You've got the sort of the earlier generation models, the hatchbacks. In Tim's case, it's more of a sedan type of a body shape. So the Hondas go quite well here. It's been historically always been a good track for the Honda machinery.
You sort of made mention of it there. Oh, that's a lot of smoke.
McCready's got smoke, and he's got some front end damage, and he's had to pull off. He came off. It was a bit of an issue there, heading out of turn number 4 and up through the sweeper at 5. Smoke billowing from the front right corner of the number 96, and he is out of business. So not a good start to proceedings for Kurt for the weekend. He came into the weekend on 97 race starts, so was looking forward to chalking up 100 by the end of the weekend, as Brett Porter in the number 5 Civic has a bit of a moment touring the grass on the approach to turn number 7. Here's a replay from what happened to Kurt. Actually, he had smoke well and truly before he came off. He had smoke from turn number 3, and that's actually coming out more out the bottom of the car before it came out the side of the car. So to me, that looks like some sort of engine related issue. Transmission, oil, or something's not gone according to plan there for car 96.
The fact the car was sliding around the corner and the fact it was coming from directly underneath the middle of the machine, that looked pretty bad out there on the circuit, that's for sure. But it looks like it's not put too much fluid down, or else we'd have cars firing off left, right and centre. So fortunately, I don't think it's too substantial down there on the racetrack at what is a pretty treacherous corner. We've seen it catch out the very best in the business. I remember, or just to say it, there is a car running wide, so there might be a bit of fluid there on the circuit. But yeah, it's caught out the best in the business. I remember Scott McLaughlin firing off there the one year. So it's, yeah, caught out the very best in the country. I was going to say, though, the point I was making before the smoke started billowing from the machine was the incredible variety that the New South Wales category have. In Victoria, it's with tracks like Sandown and Phillip Island, it's dominated by big V8 machines, but in New South Wales there's a real variety, not many V8 machines at all.
Very few. There's only a handful that I'm aware of. And David Haynes and Ben Sheedy. Ben was actually the best placed New South Welshman at the 6-hour support act. He was 6th overall for the weekend. I mean, that's kind of the track if you're doing improved production where you need the V8.
Yes,
There's the Mountain Straight and Conrod Straight. But in a lot of cases, a lot of drivers in New South Wales, they need to have a car that performs well, because a lot of the likes of Sydney Motorsport Park have all those different types of medium speed corners where the grip is key. All right, we're getting word through that there is 2 laps remaining at the current moment in time. And again, a big thank you to Crisis Transport and Logistics for sponsoring the weekend for improved production in New South Wales, the opening round of the Club Championship for 2024. And up at the top part of the circuit, this is turn 9, with Wildridge being pursued by the number 13 of Giantini, who's had a couple of mechanical gremlins as well so far this weekend. Car came to a stop part way through qualifying, managed to get it back to the lane, and has managed to get it going again, so hopefully they've identified that problem. They're going on quite nicely at the moment. And this is the battle a bit further down the order. This is for 19th and 20th place.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's fiercely fought even back there. Such a great field coming over the border. Molesworth's I've just seen has also got a 15-second penalty.
Yeah, he's the only one.
I haven't heard what that one is for, so a couple of 15-second penalties that we haven't heard reasoning behind, but I'm sure you'll be on to that this afternoon, and you'll deliver us the news early in the morning.
Yep, the other one is Woods, who's got the 15-second penalty as well. Molesworth was the one we called a little bit earlier, but he still don't know what that was for at this stage. Now, this margin, it was 1.8 seconds. It came back down to 1.4. It looks a little bit less than that, but I don't think there's enough time for Ryan Gordon to make up the room, because we are officially, I'm told, on the last lap, I believe. They're holding out a last lap board at the last corner. At the Pulsar of Matthew Ricketts. Sorry, Michael Ricketts needs to get out the way there of the leaders coming through. And Andy Sarandis and Ryan Gort managed to get through. Then there's the lap traffic, and then Lockie McBrien in third.
Definitely cost him a couple of tenths. Just on the apex, couldn't quite attack as he would like to, and you can see Gordon is right there. He'll pretty much have closed the margin down by the exit of this hairpin, but this is where the Evo comes into its own, and it's just a case of bringing it home from here, although there's a bit of action just up the road, but I don't think it will play a factor with just a couple of corners to go.
No, just 2 corners left, flashing the lights, giving some warning that the lap traffic that the race leader is coming through. And for Andy, this is a tick on his bucket list. He's always tried to get over to Winton to contest a round, but the stars have never aligned with all the commitments that he has in South Australia. Well, he's here, and he's going to take a win. The first race of the weekend for New South Wales Improved Production. Congratulations, Andy. With Ryan Gordon not too far behind in second, so he might have something for Andy tomorrow. And Lockie McBrien bringing the BMW home for third place. Andrew Butcher will claim 4th. Nick Agland will claim 5th. And then we're on board with Matthew Burks, who has moved up to 7th with the unfortunate demise of the number 96 of Kurt McCready. So that lets Danny Castro off the hook with a 6th place. That's a good return to the racing circuit for him. And then Burks will be home in 7th. Joseph Lenfel, who started at the back, and the reason he started at the back was because his transponder wasn't working in qualifying, so that's why he was off the rear. So he's driven all the way up to 8th place, so he might have something in store for the leaders tomorrow, if starting out of 8th. Paul Javots brings a Civic home in 9th, and this is the battle for 10th. Ray Caspers just trying to hold off the very fast-charging Brett Porter, who was the round winner here in IPRA Vic about a month ago. And he comes home in 11th ahead of Stephen Engel, who faded quite late there. He was sitting comfortably, I think, up in 6th place. He was ahead of Danny Castro, so Castro's picked up a spot there as well, and everybody behind gained an extra spot. So I'm not quite sure what has happened to the number 36 Evo 7.
I saw a car, it was an Evo 7 that came into the pits just before turn 1 on the final lap, so mechanical issue. Seeing that car fail to greet the...
he's falling down the order, actually, so he hasn't finished the race. So that's a shame, because he did have some issues in one of the races at the 6 hour. Turned out to be a fairly straightforward fix, but for the defending champions in both over 2 litre and under 2 litre, this is not the start that they would have been hoping for the season. Both DNFs.
Absolutely, yeah, not good at all. There are the results then. So Andy taking the win by 2.2 seconds in the end. Ryan Gordon dominating the under 2 litres class, over 20 seconds clear of the next best in under 2 litres. That was Danny Castro. But we go back to third, Lachlan McBrien, Andrew Butcher, Nick Agland, then, as you say, Daniel Castro, Matthew Burks coming home. That's the car we ride on board with in 7th position ahead of Joseph Lenthal, as you say. Phenomenal recovery. And then Paul Grigwaltz and Craig Katsparis rounding out the top 10.
Brett Porter over the page, home in 11th, ahead of Tim Robson in the Civic, ahead of Jiwei Chen, or Gary, as he's I've been told is what he likes to be called in the lane. Wayne Twist and Timothy Molesworth, so that's, I'm not sure if that's pre or post the 15-second time penalty. So he came home there in what was 17th, ahead of Matthew Giantini, and then Wildridge in 19th. And then Ricketts, who was 20th, and then you had 21st, actually it's showing as 21st, Michael Ricketts there instead of 20th on our timing. And then John Markwick, Max Robson, Mark Lamore, and Peter Woods, despite the fact he was touring out there with likely to be some mechanical dramas, he finished 2 laps down in 25th. Kurt McCready, a big non-finisher. Matthew Lamore in the Volvo, a non-finisher, and then Stephen Engel, who was dropping down the timing screens. We'll have to just double check where he ended up after that. He may technically have been classified, but we'll need to just go back and double check that, because he was dropping down the timing screens.
He came this way through the paddock. For many people, they've probably never seen this. So this is the back way into the garages behind turns 2 and 3. This is the way you go back in after the race, and that, sadly, is where Engel went into the lane, but 1 lap early. Thanks very much, Steve DeFries, for joining me for that one. Improved Production will be out early tomorrow morning for their second encounter. But for now, we'll take a quick break. If you're watching on Blendline TV, on YouTube or Facebook, tune back in about 20 minutes' time when Sports Sedans hit the racetrack at 2:35 local time. So tune in about 2:30 if you want to watch the big banger Sports Sedans hit Winton.
Yeah, welcome to round one of the New South Wales Sports Sedans Championship. We're down at Winton in Victoria, which is always an odd one, obviously, for a state round for New South Wales, but we've been very privileged for them to give us that opportunity. But we're still waiting for our second track to come back online. Unfortunately, we've got a small group of cars here this weekend due to various issues with some of our usual state competitors. We have a few cars still in build, but we're expected to be finished by them. They just haven't got here. So whilst it's a small field, it's going to be plenty of action, and that'll all be on Blendline Live TV. So looking forward to it. Yeah, it's got a new car here with Francois Habib.
Yeah, we have a new car. Well, it's an old car that's been sort of rebuilt in a way. It used to belong to Bob Gill, who unfortunately passed away last week. So I'm really happy to see the New South Wales guys jump on board and pay tribute to Bob Gill by putting the stickers on the rear saying rest in peace, which is really, really good. He's actually seen the car develop after I bought it off him. So I was privileged enough to buy a car off him, and privileged enough to also to refine it. Yeah, today's its first shakedown, I guess. We've had a few dramas, minor ones, but we're working through them. So we'll see how we go over the weekend. Everything on this is custom made, so unfortunately if I have a little bit of a bingle, it's going to be a little while to fix because we haven't made any spare parts yet. But it's been an exciting project actually to watch it, transform suspension, roll centres, and obviously the most exciting part seeing the panels all get made in the carbon that they have. Yeah, so it's been pretty cool.
Big difference but to drive, aren't they, between the supercar to this?
Oh yeah, again chalk and cheese. The supercar, has 200-300 engineers that have been developing these cars over many, many years. A sports sedan is virtually made by ground up build, and everyone does them differently, and that's what makes them so unique. So yeah, completely different.
No two are the same, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And the driving this is completely different to a supercar.
Yeah. So this weekend is a tribute that we've put together for Bob Gill. Bob was right there at the start of the formation of Sports Sedans in essence. They say he wasn't at the first meeting, but he might as well have been because he was at the second. And he was a driving force with Victorian and New South Wales to get them separated off Sports Sedans from the sports cars and Sports Sedan group. So I think it was 1973, Sports Sedans became their own nominated category through CAMS. And Bob was involved in all of that. The joke is that he wore out the carpet in CAMS, pacing up and down arguing with the boys at the time to try and make sure that happened. But we're here today and we have a category here 50 years later as a result of people like Bob. So from New South Wales perspective, it was a no-brainer. As sad as it was that Bob had passed last week, we jumped on board with the Victorian Sports Sedans, with Francois and Chris Neal, who looks after all the heritage for the Sports Sedans, and again, one of the founding members. And we pulled this together. The guys from Victoria put the stickers together for us to put on the back of each of the cars. And everybody's here, for the right reasons for what Bob wants, and that's celebration of his life. And also, Bob was involved not only driving cars. He won a championship back in Club Championship 2013.
That's right, yes. Yeah.
He was the president. He was secretary from time to time. So he was a lot of things to this category. And people like that's what you need to make these categories grow and survive. But look, I mean, it's an honour for us to do that, and we really thank Francois for coming on board, and the Victorian Sports Sedans came on board to help us out, so we could actually get live stream this weekend, which is a great opportunity for Francois to debut the car, and we're looking forward to having you out there, mate, and getting around.
No, I appreciate being with the New South Wales guys. Thanks for your hospitality as well. You'll notice too that we're running the number 5 on the car, which was Bob Gill's number as well, in his honour as well too. So after I bought the car, I got to know him really well. So I've known him probably 3 years now. It hasn't been a long time, but I've visited him quite often. I spoke to him only a few days actually before he passed. He was very, very weak, but he was happy with what we'd achieved, and that was the main thing. I just wanted him to be happy as well. I wanted to do what I wanted to do to make it mine, but at the same time, I didn't want to disrespect what he'd done before me as well. So
There it is, Francois Habib in the ex-Bob Gill machine. Absolutely, rest in peace, Bob, a real stalwart of sports sedans. We owe so much to him for everything he has done for this category around the nation. Here's the starting grid. Brad Shields from first alongside Stephen Lacey, Chris Jackson and Glenn Prove. Habib will come out of 5th, ahead of Ram McGlurkin, but we are about to get started. And we are underway. Good start from Shields. He will lead them down into turn number 1 in the Fiat 124. Brilliantly presented machine. Also a bit of contact between Habib and the number 12. Is that machine? So taken to the grass over the 121 machine of Crow. That was a bit of a hairy moment there. They're both back underway. And McGlurkin is going to try and get Habib now into turn number 3. Can't quite make it stick on this occasion and slots back in behind. Alongside myself, Dan McCarthy is the man behind Blendline TV. Dan Beckinsale, brilliant to have you alongside me, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. It's great to be here and seeing New South Wales Sports Sedans returning to Winton Motor Raceway for the opening round of the 2024 season. Of course, we saw them in 2023 here as well, and we saw Steve Lacey and Brad Shields have some fantastically epic battles across that weekend. So hopefully we see more of the same, and also a huge thanks to RDS Real Estate and Development Solutions for their support of this weekend, along with the Victorian Sports Sedans Championship with Francois Habib running that Bob Gill Falcon. Great to see it back on track, and we know Bob will be looking down and enjoying the racing once again here today.
Absolutely. It's so immaculately presented, as you say. He'll be looking down, smiling from ear to ear, seeing that thing on the racetrack in its purple livery. And we're on board with that very car right now. He swings it into turn number 11. Doesn't it sound absolutely fantastic from the onboard that Blendline are supplying us as he gets on the power, and it roars down pit straight, and we can see the little rest in peace Bob Gill sign on the front panel there.
Yeah, no doubt this car will turn a lot of heads this weekend. It almost broke the internet yet again, as sports fans often do when we see a new one released, and the amount of time and effort that's gone in from so many people to get this car not only back on track but revamp it as well into almost its own brand new piece of machinery. And Francois, of course, has seen some success in Victorian Sports Sedans in his Commodores, and now he's made the trek over into the Falcon. at least body work to be able to see what he can do. Of course, with sports sedans, a lot of them space frame silhouettes.
Yes.
Not always what is underneath the car. And look at this thrill coming down through here as well. Got Pro, who's just in front of Habib. And then it looks like Smith was having a look at McClurkin there down into the first hairpin. So a battle down in 6th and 7th place as well. Whoa, look at him light the rears up there, Habib.
Yeah, it was a moment. Good save.
Yeah.
Not used to, well, he's used to that much power driving the Dodo ex-Tasman Motorsport car that he drives in the Victorian Series. But moving on to this weekend in the New South Wales Series. Big lock up there for the number 24 machine of Smith, but keeps it on the tarmac, which is what we like to see. A small field of sports sedans here, but a real quality field of sports sedans this weekend.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that not as many cars as we would have loved to have seen from New South Wales made the trek down. Unfortunately, even though it's a long weekend and a bit more time to be able to, well, not really a long weekend, but a long weekend by manufacturers, I guess you could say.
Yes.
A few guys weren't able to get their cars ready in time. I also just noticed there that it looks like we've had Chris Jackson join the field. He obviously missed the start of the race, so he's getting back out to be able to... Oh no, he's sitting in 3rd place, so I just missed him at the start of the race. The Calibra going under the radar for me, and he's pumping down into 3rd position as McClurkin back into the pits. Looks like he's got some sort of issue. Not much noise coming from that car as we're used to seeing.
Yes.
So
Indeed.
There.
Another veteran of sports sedans racing is McClurkin, but that has come to a halt in the pit lane after just 2 laps of racing. So that's disappointing to see. Here is Pro out there on the racetrack after his little off-track excursion on the opening lap. I see that he's brought a lot of gravel and grass onto the road at turn number 2, making life a little bit tricky, going back to the rallycross routes of old that Winton used to host. But cars staying on the track, fortunately getting through that gravel unscathed at this point in time. And this car also unscathed in 4th position. But Habib is not too far behind. And Habib's actually going a couple of tenths a lap faster at this stage of the race.
I was going to say, you'll start seeing Habib in the mirror now, Will Pro. And I tell you what, Pro has done a lot of work to get this car back on track. We've seen it in and out of sports sedans, like so many of them. There's little tinkering things, little development issues. You go down one track and then you decide that actually that power system's not maybe going to work for you, isn't as reliable as you'd like it to be. And Glenn Pro's one of those guys. He's in the garage. So many of these guys are. It's the home garage. They're doing it themselves. They're juggling their own business commitments. They're trying to make it sure that they get to race meetings, and they have to put in so much effort to be able to be out on track. It's good to see Glenn Pro being up there in amongst the battle again as we go on board with Habib as he chases him down. We've got to say thanks to the Victorian Sports Sedans Championship, Australian Sports Sedan Association, for their support of the broadcast here this weekend as well. They've come on board to be able to help New South Wales Sports Sedans have live broadcast here on Glenline TV and also pay tribute to Bob Gill, a long-time campaigner. We met him many, many years ago. I think anyone who's been involved with Victorian or even national sports sedans along the journey, you've been in touch with Bob somewhere along the way. Wanted to see more people racing, was a good campaigner, a long-time supporter, and he'll be missed, but we'll continue racing in his honour as we are this weekend. We've also got to give a big shout out to the regular man behind the microphone for sports sedans, Darren Smith. I know he would have loved to have been here this weekend. Yes. Unfortunately, it all came together very late and Darren was not able to be up here to see New South Wales, but he'll be back behind the mic for the Victorian guys later in the season and keeping track of their racing as well. So big shout out to him.
Sorry, a Pro Den just got all crossed up over the curb at the final turn, and that cost him momentum all the way down the straight, and that is why Habib has really closed the margin there that time through. So yeah, Habib now just half a second behind, and you can see where both of these cars have their different strengths and weaknesses, and it's playing out in front of our eyes at the moment. But that thing, running a bit wide out at turn number 3. Fortunately for Pro, that extra ripple strip that was extended during COVID probably saved him there, else he'd have been really out in the kitty litter.
He's definitely been able to use that extra bit of track to his advantage, though. Down through the back section, you can see he's opened the gap yet again. So it seems to me that Pro is actually stronger probably from about turn 4 all the way down through to the second of the hairpins. And then once we get onto those straights and more open radius corners, you can see that Habib's able to close the gap down. Of course, it's his first weekend in the car. He didn't even do the full practice day in the car yesterday because they had so many systems checks they wanted to run through. They were actually rotating drivers through the car just to be able to correlate that what they were understanding from it was the right things and it was giving all the right information back, which I think shows as well, like for someone like Habib, that he's prepared to be able to just make sure that the car is just as important as anything else out there. He doesn't just try to hold on to it being just his own thing, and that's fantastic to see the sharing.
Yeah. Car accelerates out of the final corner to complete another lap. He had a little, Pro slowing on the straight, and through goes Habib. There's a bit of black smoke as he's trying to get a gear there, Pro. So some sort of issue, and Habib makes it stick. Big lunge down into turn number 1, but Pro looks to fight back. So a bit of a gear selection issue, I think, for that machine. And again, down into turn number 3, same again. So I'm not sure he's quite able to find the gears he's looking for at the moment. I think a gearbox gremlin, that's for sure.
Yeah, he'll have to try to just settle in now behind Habib and see if he can just tack onto the rear of him and make another move. He might be able to get that position back, but if you've got gear selector issues at this place, sometimes you'll find that you're able to drive half the track and then it's down the bottom you'll have a problem, or up the top you'll have an issue, and you can't shift into that gear. We see it so many times, especially at this place, with how much work the drivers have to do, especially in the section they're in now. Of course, we've also got to thank Real Estate and Development Solutions for supporting the New South Wales Sports Sedans this weekend. They're part of a big conglomeration of sponsors that are able to look after. So we've got a replay of the pass coming down the main straight as we go on board with the rear car, and you can just see, it's like Pro wasn't able to get a gear. You're right, halfway down the straight, just maybe couldn't select 4th gear or something like that. And that's all he's got.
Seemed to happen again out of turn number 2 on the run to turn number 3. So I think it's one of the higher gears, maybe 4th or something like that. We'll see if it rears its head again as he hits pit straight one more time. Yeah, it has. He's definitely not able to get one of those gears, 4th or 5th, and it's really costing him on the straight lines. Fortunately, it's not Sydney Motorsport Park. I think it would cost you even more around there. Winton being a tight technical circuit, it's not costing him too much time, only on the 2 straights. This man is miles out in front, 6.8 seconds the margin ahead of Lacey. Lacey is actually at Tasmania for the first round of the National Sports Sedans, racing his Mark GT car. But back this weekend in a car that we know him driving so commonly, particularly in New South Wales.
Yeah, speaking to Steve before the weekend started, he actually didn't partake of practice this morning because the car was setting PBs yesterday during practice. So they went out for 2 sessions. They did a PB in session 1, a PB in session 2, and decided to put the car away. It obviously doesn't need anything. They were really hoping that through the latter stages of these races, they'd be able to come on strong, and perhaps Brad Shields would struggle a little bit later on. Of course, with the sports sedan, things get hot. You start having dramas. You never know what's going to happen. You start backing off to look after the car. And if you're Steve Lacey, you're looking at it going, well, I can keep this Chev going hard all the way to the end. He was hoping that that would be able to help him with the rotary turbo in front. But at this stage, 8 seconds the gap, I don't think it's helped him that much.
No. But they are quite far ahead of Jackson in the 26 machine, and there it is, the car we were just talking about, Lacey, heading into turn number 10. So those are the margins, 8 seconds between Shields and Lacey, and then 30 seconds between Lacey and Jackson. Shields is slowly making his way through the lap traffic, which is 6th and 5th position. So he's making light work of the field out there in this, the first 18-minute plus 1 lap encounter of the weekend for New South Wales Sports Sedans. Brilliant to have them, though, here just over the border into Victoria this weekend.
It's not the biggest trip down the Hume for the New South Wales Sports Sedans to come down here, but it still is quite a bit of work. But with only 1 track at the moment in New South Wales for them to race on, it does add some variety to be able to come down here to Winton Motor Raceway, and they put a lot of effort to get down here. You can see here Chris Jackson in the Clipper, of course. That's a multi-champion car with a multi-champion driver behind the wheel. Shields and Lacey are both trying to overhaul him on the status of champions at the moment. But Chris Jackson getting the Calibra back out, the CSJ engineering car. It's been a couple of years since we saw it run a whole season. He's done a lot of development. What would be surprising for most people to know about this car actually is Chris puts a lot of tech into the car as well. There's lots of little things like an iPad on the steering wheel, and well, it's not an iPad, but it's a touchscreen device that he uses for being able to track data and all sorts of stuff going on. So while they may look like they're basic engineering in some regards, there's also a lot of little intricate moments and intricate bits inside the cars that they use to track different data and different information to be able to know what's happening in the car. And also with someone like Chris Jackson, he has a couple of other people who jump behind the wheel as well. He gives young Brock an opportunity to race, which brings them into the sport where young drivers aren't able to necessarily build one of these cars themselves, just because we want to see more people out there racing in sports sedans. So ticking down the clock here at the moment, it looks like Brad Shields very comfortable out in front. He's done a best lap of 1:22.5, which is about a second a lap quicker than Steve Lacey. At the moment, he's lapping half a second quicker as well, so there's not really much for Steve to be able to do there, and I dare say that now they're starting to think about race 2. Make sure you don't have an off-track excursion or do something silly that will cause you some sort of drama.
Third fastest car on the track at the moment is the car we're looking at on the screen. PB last time through, 1:28.8. Habib coming a couple of seconds a lap on Jackson, and the margin 8 seconds. I'm not sure he's going to have enough time in this race, but race 2 tomorrow will be interesting. Habib clearly getting more and more comfortable lap after lap, and you're laughing because Jackson's just set his PB.
I was going to say, Jackson obviously just got the radio call that Habib behind you is pushing.
Yes.
Maybe just put the hammer down slightly. He was 0.3 of a second quicker on that last lap, so Jackson managing the gap. Of course, all of these cars also have a team radio back to the pits and a spotter standing up on the hill just to give them an overview of what's going on around Winton Motor Raceway on what is a beautiful day here today. It's gotten a little bit warmer than we expected for the top temperature, but still not much of a breeze. There's no clouds in the sky. It's actually quite a nice day to be at this racetrack, so really enjoying that.
Late April at Winton. I never thought it would be so nice, but there we go. And from what I hear, it's going to be even nicer tomorrow as well. A couple of degrees warmer, maybe slightly more overcast, but even warmer tomorrow. So very nice. Winton in April. Better come down if you are watching on the Blendline TV stream. Make sure you head down to, or up if you're in Victoria, up to Winton, only 2.5 hours really from the Melbourne CBD. It's not too far, particularly in this day and age, just a hop, skip and a jump in a modern road car. This is a modern reconstruction of the late Bob Gill's Falcon, and it's performing strongly on debut, which Bob would love to see, that's for sure, as he rounds the final corner to complete yet another lap. And there we can see the temperature, nearly 23 degrees. Lovely.
Absolutely fantastic. Out in front, Brad Shields in the Joe said Fiat 124 Coupe. This is another car that effectively breaks the internet every time we get it on the screen as we come down to the final lap. He's got the last lap board now, so Brad Shields will be just looking to bring it home. He's got 9.8 seconds on Steve Lacey behind in this opening race of the New South Wales Sports Sedans Championship, proudly brought to you this weekend by Real Estate and Development Solutions. They've come on board to be able to support the championship. We look forward to seeing Rod Monaghan back behind the wheel actually in a couple of future rounds. If you want to get involved with the New South Wales Sports Sedans, make sure to check out their website and Facebook pages. Plenty of information on how you can get a car out on track as well. And it doesn't have to be a space frame sports sedan either. You can start with a floor plan car, effectively add about 10% to an IPRA car, be able to get out there, have a bit of a race around and build your way up into probably championship contention here, like you see with Brad Shields. Joe said puts so much effort into this car. Such a strong supporter of the championship, such a passionate supporter of sports sedans as well. So to see it rack up another victory, we know Joe and the team down in the pits will be absolutely celebrating this as Brad Shields brings it home. Listen to that roar.
It's got such a cult following, doesn't it, this car? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everyone tunes in. If you say any Blendline TV video with this, it gets quite a few clicks, and this one will, as it rounds the final corner to take a dominant victory in race number 1. Over 10 seconds the margin. There is second place all the way in the distance. A good performance from Lacey. He'll be pleased with how his machine has gone, and he will come home in position number 2. The official margin at the end of that one, 13.6 seconds. Oh, Habib off on the final lap. Is there more to it than that? Fingers crossed it's just an off-track excursion.
Yeah, it looks like the car has gotten quite warm, as often does, with the NASCAR 6-litre Ford motor sitting pretty much under the front windscreen there. Of course, in a sports sedan space frame car, they move the engine back and to the middle to be able to get even weight distribution. So often the driver's knee is right up against the extractors, and he'll no doubt be able to feel it. We'll see if we can see what happened to Francois on the last lap of this one, but that'll give Chris Jackson a lot of breathing room to be able to bring home 3rd place. It looks like the car's okay. We've got a replay. And is he just, turning it in?
Oh, late lock-up.
Yeah, he's just started to tip it in and lock the front right, and you can see all the flames from the overrun there as he comes down on the grass. So
it's a good sight.
Yeah,
good
no
sight.
doubt. They'll scrub those tyres off and get them ready for race 2 tomorrow morning. Of course, you can watch all the action here on Blendline TV.
Oh, another lock-up.
Yeah, he's struggling. Maybe he's got some front brake issues there. It looks like right as he tries to tip it in at the max braking, it's quite taking the corner for him.
Yeah, it seems all right initially, and then late in the braking zone, it seems to lock up. So a couple of issues there on the last lap, but I think Francois Habib will be pretty pleased with the debut, his debut in that machine. And despite the off-track excursion down at turn number 3, held on to 4th ahead of Glenn Pro. So here are the results of that one. Brad Shields taking the win, 13.5 seconds to Lacey. Chris Jackson finishing in the end a lonely 3rd ahead of Francois Habib. Glenn Pro coming home in 5th, and then Graham Smith, the last of the finishers. Ren McGlurkin, unfortunately, not seeing the end of that one, and same with Sean. That's quite hard to say on this Saturday afternoon.
A great first race there from the New South Wales Sports Sedans. Up next, the HQ Holdens. I'm going to vacate the seat for Dave Amor here, who will no doubt bring the excitement. A long time aficionado of HQs. We love to have him in the box. So, Dan, I'll bid you adieu and catch you up later on for some more action.
Absolutely. Formula Open. Yes, I'll see you then. Thank you very much for that. Well, there's a little bit of a clean-up, the gravel being removed from the circuit after that lap 1 excursion for Glenn Pro. We will take a quick break here on Blendline TV. We'll be back shortly with HQ Holdens. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah, so this year we've got round 1 for HQs here at Winton. As we did last year, round 1's here. The next few rounds after that are Eastern Creek. For us, we'll contest this round and see how things go after that. There's a round at Eastern Creek in June we may go and do. The last 2 for us we probably won't be doing at this stage. So yeah, plenty of racing ahead for 2024 for New South Wales HQs. And yeah, keen to see how this weekend goes. Easter long weekend, we were at Bathurst, support for the 6-hour weekend. There was, I think, 51 HQs entered. The racing was up and down, I suppose is the best way of putting it. All right, so qualifying got cancelled due to a red flag, so they went back through our practice times, they set the grid. Race 1 and 2 were unfortunately cut short. Race 3, however, was a really good race, full race for everyone. Cars were great. 1-2 for Osborne's Transport with me first and John Baxter in second. We're also able to take the lap record on the last lap of that last race. So for me, very rewarding, and yeah, just super glad that the cars were so quick that weekend and we had a strong result. Yeah, so the Nationals in 2023 were held at Morgan Park. That was late last year. So we went up for that. Fortunate enough to have a good run up there. Qualified well. A few heat wins and a second, and then in the final we're able to get off the line and hold on for the win. Luke Harrison coming second. Hard fought the whole way to the end. He really pushed me with Phil Ashland in third. So that was a really hard fought weekend, very glad, very fortunate to come home with a win in the number one. Yeah, so this weekend the whole field in New South Wales is really competitive. You've got several really quick cars. As you've just mentioned, Luke Harrison, second at the Nationals, he's on the money here. You've got Matt Barker, Dave Proglio, Chris Mole, Jason Mole, Jared Harbour. Look, there's so many quick guys here this weekend. We just went out for a practice session then, and there's 4 or 5 of us in a little battle pack, and it was really fast. It was quite a challenge to race with those guys. We'll call it racing in practice, but to race with those guys just then. So it's going to be a tough weekend. I think qualifying is going to be important, and we'll see how we go. So Osmond's Transport, Boys from the Bush, MIA Engines, CR International, SC Racing, Leather Doctor. Obviously without those guys we don't go racing. Behind the scenes, particularly Matty Barker gives me a lot of help, so I need to thank him. Mum and Dad, Raymond and Debbie, and then Kel, Charlotte and Harvey. They've been coming to support me the last few rounds, so it's great to have them there.
HQ's out there on the racetrack for their opening race of the weekend. It's the New South Wales Championship, and a man who travels all around the nation to see HQs in person. It's Dave Amor, ladies and gentlemen, and he is alongside me. Looking forward to this one. Really good field of competitors coming down to Victoria. Really good to see.
Yeah, it certainly is, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Winton has turned on some fantastic weather. Friday was just like this, absolutely perfect, and I understand Sunday's got to be better by the looks of it. So Brett Osborne is out there on pole with a 1:45 dead. Now that is a very, very quick time. Going through sort of the top 10, I would say there's probably 9 of the top 10 guys from New South Wales that are here this weekend. So Johnny Baxter's not here, but also car number 202, Jared Harbour, will not be starting this race or will not be racing any races. With around about 3 minutes to go, he put it into the wall at turn 2 and has badly bent the chassis. So a bit of a pity there from Jared Harbour. So he's in 3rd position. We've got Matty Barker there in John Baxter's car, the 51 car, in 2nd position. We've got Kenny Wright, the Victorian, in 13. Dave Proglio isn't in his normal car. He got fairly badly damaged up at Bathurst and they're still fixing it. So he's in the 17 car. Then we've got Jason Mole. Luke Harrison has just done a axle bearing. He had oil all over his brakes on the left-hand side. Chris Mole, disappointed with where he is at the moment, so keep an eye on him. Glenn Deering in the number 4 I Got a car. 111 is Brendan Healy. Darren Parker, New South Wales President. John Mahoney, Victorian President in the 81 car. Aaron Parker, the young bloke's doing a fantastic job. We've got Johnson, Robertson, Adam Leach, the copper. Then we've got Glenn Robertson, McKay and Simpson. So we've got a pretty strong field. 19 cars. 19 cars, which is good.
Really good to see, and we've got to thank Osborne's Transport for making this happen here this weekend. As the cars continue to stream around the final corner, we've really had 2 classic Australian race categories back to back. The Big Banger Sports Sedans have been around for so many decades, and so have these HQ Holdens, of course, built back in the early 1970s, and still, I can't believe there's this many racing around Australia. This is just one of the categories, of course. Victoria has a really strong I'll say it in a minute, contingency as well. And up north as well, there's pretty good numbers as well. So there is the vacant 3rd position of Harbour after that big shunt at number 2. I saw it. He went off at a vast rate of knots late on in that session. But hopefully he'll be back at later rounds as we are underway. Very even jump between the top 2. Can't really split them, but in the second half of the start, it looks like Osborne has got the better jump. Somebody's dropping back from 2nd.
Kenny Wright, yes. Kenny Wright's got stuck from 1st into 2nd. Kenny Wright's gone from 4th all the way back to 14th. There by the looks of it, as they come past the canteen, the commentary box, up into turn 3. Brett Osmond, ripper of a start. Matty Barker right in behind him. Then we've got Jason Mole, 32 car. Command Digital, absolute blinder of a start by Jason Mole. Keep an eye on him. Then we've got Dave Poglio behind him. Then we've got the young kid, Luke Harrison. And Glenn Deering also got a good start. So you can see a lot of cars have been shuffled around since Kenny Wright, CNR International car, got stuck in gear.
Absolutely, but it's the top 2 that remain the same. Osborne from Barker. It's tight further back. In fact, I think there's a bit of contact there down into turn number 7, the 1-2-2 machine. Right in the thick of that, that's Johnston, but manages to keep it in the right direction. He's hounding the tail of Parker. Those two are separated by a good couple of... oh no, there were nose tail on the grid, sorry. I thought they were separated by a couple of positions, but they're just outside the top 10, so it shows that the fighting is fierce up and down the field in HQs.
Certainly is. So we're doing, lap 1 at the moment. You can see him screaming all the way down in what they call the veggie patch, right down the far end. Ladies and gentlemen, that bit was an extension of what Winton had many years ago. They put that extension on to get the V8 supercars here.
Yes.
And certainly made the track a lot bigger. And for the 4-hour, which is in December, it's a perfect track for HQs. 2 drivers, 2 2-hour races, and absolutely fantastic. Just saw the copper then. Adam Leach go around the corner in the 42 car, beautifully presented car, and one of the Robertson's car. Right over the 32 car there, you can see that one there, Jason Mole. Doing extremely well. The Saintly car right in front of him, Terry Saintly, driven by Luke Harrison. Poglio's got a ripper of a start as well, but of course out in front, Osborne, Barker, Jason Mole, Poglio, Harrison, Deering, Mole, Parker, Healy, Mahoney, rounding out the top 10. As we're on car, we can have a listen to these Kenwood tyres screaming as it's going through the sweeper.
Literally screaming, as you say. It's they are protesting, that is for certain, around the fast sweeper. Of course, we normally see these in the Victorian Championship on Blendline TV at Sandown and Phillip Island. This is a very different style of circuit. Slipstreaming's not such an important factor as it is at those circuits.
Certainly is. You've got to get the car in the right position on the track. It's just like anyone. There's always that perfect line. And if you can't get in there because someone else is trying to dive down the inside of you, then that makes your lap times, slowly widen out. But at 1:45 dead in qualifying by Osborne, talking to Brett only 2 hours ago, it's the fastest he's ever been around here.
Yeah, right.
He came here with a mission. The mission was to have a look at that car and make that car faster, because Magilton and Woods actually beat Osborne last year at the 4-hour.
Okay.
So they've definitely come here to do some practice, some fine tuning, and to make it happen. Osborne Transport, 12 years as a major sponsor for New South Wales, which is absolutely fantastic.
Pretty good, pretty
but
good.
They've also got all the other sponsors. Everyone is just blending themselves together.
Great run from the 17 machine. Proglio up the inside, not quite able to make it stick on Mole. Will he ever go at turn number 4? No. And as a result, now the 73 machine of Harrison's having a look at him. That's one of the things in HQs. If you don't make it stick yourself, if someone's behind you, you will be quickly under pressure. And that's what we're seeing. The 3 of them nose to tail, sideways from Harrison, gathers it up mid-corner, and again, gathers it up. Brilliant onboard footage as he goes down the gearbox. Left the door slightly open there, did Mole. And Proglio fills it, but now he's on the wrong side for turn number 8. What can he do at turn number 9? Surely he's not going to have a go there. No, he doesn't. Defensive from Mole as they exit turn number 10. Who's going to be on the power best? It looks like it's Proglio. What can he do? He's going to have to go the long way. Mole making his intentions clear early. I'm going to hold the inside. You're going to have to go the long way around. And that is one lap of just nose-to-tail action. Brilliant stuff in HQs.
Yep, it certainly is. Luke Harrison, the car in front of him is the one that he drove at Bathurst. So he's hopped out of that car to give Dave Poglio the chance to go for the New South Wales Championship this year. So, and he's gone back to the Saintly car. Beautiful looking cars, both of them. So, good teammates, nice close racing. As you can see, Brett Osborne already with a 1:45.4.
Pretty good, pretty good. What was the quality time? You said it was a 45, is that?
45 dead.
Yeah, right, there you go. So not too far away from what was achieved in qualifying. We're about halfway through this opening race. Out front, Osborne 2.4 seconds down the road, and Barker 3.9 seconds ahead of this, the fight for third. This is where the battle is on the racetrack at the moment. Oh, dropping 2 wheels wide through the grass there, Harrison, but manages to keep it together in the Sanity machine. But yeah, it's now becoming a 4-car train, because Chris Mole is catching up to this trio.
Certainly are, as we can see them there going right over the far side of the commentary box, right over what they call is Penrite corner, and then the old back straight, which is over the far corner there where Brett Osborne is. But have a look at these guys here. It is so important for a HQ Holden. It's like a go-kart, ladies and gentlemen. You turn the wheel, you lose speed. You wash it off, you lose speed. So you've got to be really, really gentle.
Oh! Did he shave it? I think he's lost the mirror there. I think he was that close. So really, really good. But yeah, just that's what you got to do at that corner to gain, as you say, it's all about keeping that momentum up, keeping the minimum speed up. And he certainly achieved that, just losing the mirror. And that'll help him with aerodynamics in a straight line as well.
Certainly is. Righto, here comes Poglio. He's got the chrome horn happening on Jason Mole as they come onto the front straight. It's a fairly long back front straight, ladies and gentlemen. 3-speed gearbox, Kenda tyres. We use a controlled camshaft. The valves can be only a certain size in the head. All these engines get sealed, so you make sure that everyone is correct. Glenn Deering has got a problem. The I Got a Car number 4 is coming into the pits. He did have a battery issue with that car in qualifying. They had to put another battery in it. Now, whether that's a gremlin that's come into it or whether he's got issues or problems. Luke Harrison, that's better, Luke. That's a lot better. Keep it on the black stuff. The grass is fast, but the bitumen is far safer.
Yes, absolutely right there. And the 3 are once again right close to each other. Here we go. Proglio having a look up the inside. No, can't make it stick there. You've got to be pretty committed, and you've got to have a bit of room left from your counterpart at that corner. We can see it playing out in front of us. Number 13 taking that position. That's right on Parker. Parker was throwing his machine around in qualifying. I was watching him. He had a massive moment out of turn 2 and then a massive brake lock-up as well into turn number 3 a couple of laps later. He was giving it his all in qualifying. So watch out for the number 26 machine. Always committed out there on the racetrack.
Certainly is. Right, the 13 car, the Kenny Wright car, CR International car. Remember, he qualified 4th. He's just passed Parker from 9th up into 8th position. So that gearbox issue certainly has hampered him, and has also changed a little bit of the other cars trying to get past him on that start-finish line there in the first 100, 150 metres of the track. Here we go. Drive it like you stole it. If it's not pinging, keep it singing. That's the motto for HQ Holdens. Down in the turn 1. Let's hang on here, ladies and gentlemen. Hard braking, left-hander. You just keep on accelerating. Your left foot braking, and then you're up over the top. You're still in top gear. It looks like he wants a packet of chips or something, Luke. He's a bit disappointed with what's going on here. At the moment, the Command Digital car is holding up Poglio, holding up Harrison. Now Chris Mole is now right on the back.
Oh, getting 2 wheels over the outside of that curb. He likes doing that, doesn't he, Harrison?
Yep, he's not scared, mate. He's not scared. He's a young bloke. Oh, mate, that is commitment, I'll tell you. It's with the HQ Holden, we've got our Kenda tyres and everything else like that. It's like any other race car, whatever it is. You have oversteer, you have understeer, then you got braking, then you got to try and move it. Let it slide, let it grip, let the wheel go through your hands. Oh, the chrome horn, he just gave 17 car right, little bit of a tap. Come on, honey, it's time for us to get past Command Digital. Can they do anything? Here we go. Second gear, up to 6,000 revs. Yep, in the top. Wayne Harrison will be listening to this. 6,000 revs, Wayne. That engine of yours that you built is certainly screaming like an opera singer.
You're on about 6,000 revs at the moment as well, down through the tight technical section of the course. The intensity in this battle is lifted. I think there's a bit of contact there. The number 17 nudging number 32 into the final braking zone of the lap. On getting a bit sideways as well. This is great racing. He's got a great run out the corner. He's up the inside. This is the best opportunity he's had so far to make the move stick. Proglio, can he do it? Can he make it stick at turn number 1? No. Has to pull back in once again behind Mole. Both of them taking a bit of a compromise line. Here comes Harrison with the run. He swings it to the inside down into turn number 3. Can he make it stick? 17 late on the brakes, holds it round the outside.
Oh, mate, that was tight. That was probably like half a can of paint then.
Oi.
Oh, that's the Healy car, the 111 car. So he's got it back through. That's turn 1 to turn 2, ladies and gentlemen. Just imagine there used to be a flaggies box at turn 1.
That's right, yeah.
All right. They were men out there, I can tell you for sure. They've moved it, they've made it safer, they've made it better. The improvements of the Winton circuit, ladies and gentlemen, you've got to have a look at it. You take your hat off to everyone here at the Winton circuit. The track's looking fantastic. The canteen's been updated. Everything's been painted and everything's looking a lot better. And I tell you what, the crew here at Winton, thank you very much, guys. It's absolutely fantastic. Magnificent job. And for 2024 season.
Oh, look, the rear's late on in the corner and he's dribbled off the road. All the hard work that he's done, keeping them behind for so many laps, has come undone with just a couple remaining. So 2 positions dropped there for Mole. And it was his own doing, an unforced error. Rear brakes locked and slid off the road. So now it's a Mole's line astern. So this now the fight for 5th position between the 32 and the 23. But no, it's going to be an intruder as Wright comes up the inside to try and take that position. That is for 6th. So Wright, as we say, on the recovery drive after all the problems, big lockup. Just about doesn't drill the tail of Mole. That was tight. Keeps it behind. Brilliant racing, but as I was trying to say, Wright, a great recovery from where he was at the end of lap number 1 with that gear selection issue. But he's found the gears ever since. PB on the last lap. 1:45.7. That's comparable with Osborne and Barker at the front, and that's where he would have been had he not had the issues at the start of this race. It's all about catch-up for the rest of the weekend for the number 13 machine.
Certainly is. From 15th, he's all the way back up to 7th, so he's done it tough, he's done it well. And it looks like he's trying to get down the inside here. We can keep an eye on it, ladies and gentlemen, side by side. Yeah, he's on the right side now. He's on the right side now for the right-hander there. We can look at it visually and also on the TV. Oh, here we go, side by side. Door handle to door handle. Right has got Chris Mole.
Not quite.
Not quite.
No.
Here comes Chris.
23 will have the inside now, down into turn number 10, and he reclaims the position. Does he? No, around the outside. Brilliant move from Wright to hold it there. Supreme racing.
He certainly has. Now he's got him at long last. Now he's got him. Down the back chute. Here we go. We've probably only got, around about 2 more laps to go. Is about a 20-minute session. These races are.
Correct.
We're passing one of the back markers there, the 28 car there of Simpson. So Simpson's been fairly new to the sport. He's ticked one of his bucket lists. He went to Bathurst 5 weeks ago. The 6-hour. Brett Simpson in his late 60s has driven a race car, and it's a HQ around Bathurst.
I'm being told 2 laps to go. 2 laps to go in this race, and what a race it's been for HQs to kick off proceedings here at Winton. You were at Bathurst. So cool to have HQs at Bathurst as support to the 6-hour, and a good field as well.
Yeah, it certainly was. There is 52, 51 cars there for the racing. We had one of those weekends that we want to forget. A few guys had a few issues and a few dramas that brought out some safety car boards, some yellow flags and things like that. But the final race was an absolute ding-dong battle. The final race was absolutely brilliant, and Brett Osborne on his final lap broke the lap record. We thought it would never ever happen. Neville Haley broke the lap record, I would say, back in '99 when we had Bridgestone tyres and avgas fuel.
Yeah, right.
Now we've got a compression ratio. We've got to run a 98 fuel through race fuels, and we thought we would never ever get back to that speed. But Brett was the only car that done it because he broke that record, and congratulations to him. The number one car. The reason why he's got number one is because you spoke about it at Morgan Park. Here we go. The final lap is now starting, ladies and gentlemen. Brett Osborne, we can see that on the TV screen. We're up here in commentary. We've got fantastic blend line coverage put straight to us so we can talk about what's happening and what's going on the TV screen. Plus we can also look through the windows and see what's happening. But blend line, fantastic. Really good for what they do. I'll take my hat off, literally. Mate, they are awesome, and I appreciate it, and the opportunity to commentate my beloved HQs.
Exactly, you follow them, as I said, around the country, and great to have the New South Wales Championship down in Victoria. As we say, they've got a bit of a track shortage at the moment, but hopefully the former Wakefield Park, renamed One Raceway, will reopen later on in the year, and we can have New South Wales competition back there, having two tracks alongside Sydney Motorsport Park. But for now, they are visiting Winton in northern Victoria, and they've put on a real show here in race number one. There's been no stopping this man. He's eked out a lead lap after lap after lap after lap, and after 9 laps, he's got a 7-second lead. He's been in a league of his own out there on the racetrack, and he's coming into the final couple of corners, Dave.
Certainly is, and on lap 8 he done a 1:45.3. So that is really telling us the car is hooked up. It's going extremely well. 8x14 rims, just like they were back in the old days, ladies and gentlemen. Disc drum brakes. Here comes Brett Osborne. Bang, he's gone, and he is number one. Number 2, we just got to wait for him to come through. Everything's looking good. We got Matty Barker. Matty Barker there has done extremely well. Then we got Dave Proglio has kept ahead. Dave Proglio in the 17 car has kept ahead of Luke Harrison in the 73. Down the back chute, 2 young guns. We got Healy and Barker. What can Parker do? What can Healy do to stop Parker? Oh, 1 corner to go. He's got to brake well, exit, accelerate. Back into 3rd gear. Bang, right there, 5,700 revs. Over the start finish line they go. Congratulations also to the young guns.
Healy did lose a place on that final lap to Johnston, but was able to stay ahead of Parker, but just dropping outside the top 10 to finish in 11th. Another change a bit further back, Leach getting Robinson on the final lap as well. So a couple of changes further down the order on the final lap, and it shows in HQs it's never over until it's over.
Well, that is for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, tomorrow we've got race 2 and race 3, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. So make sure you come back. There's some fantastic racing right throughout all the fields. And being a Victorian, thank you, New South Wales, for coming up here and making my weekend so enjoyable. Because let's face it, mate, we're motor racing.
Yes, exactly.
Where else do you want to be?
Exactly.
Right here, and I appreciate the time. But once again, a big shout out to Winton. Absolutely fantastic. Everything's looking really strong, guys. And to everyone and all the people that put in all the hard work, thank you. It's really enjoyable. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you very much for your time in HQs as always, mate. Brett Osborne taking the win there, 7 seconds from Matt Barker. Dave Proglio coming home in 3rd. Luke Harrison, after a couple of off-track excursions, came home in 4th. Ken Wright recovered to finish top 5 ahead of Jason Mole, Chris Mole, Darren Parker in 8th, John Mahoney in 9th position, and Jason Johnston stealing 10th on the final lap from Brendan Healy, then Ashton Parker, Adam Leach, Kane Robinson, Glenn Robinson, Gordon McLee, Brett Simpson finishing 1 lap down, and then the 2 DNFs, or DNF and a DNS, Glenn Deering, and then after the quali crash and out for the weekend, that was Jared Harbour. So that concludes HQs. Up next, we have a national championship on the racetrack. It's round 2 of the Australian Formula Ford Championship. We'll be back in just a tick.
I'm back on my game, rocking these rings, all leather, no shame. Won't be in the backseat, I'm flossy and flashy, so bring the champagne. Tattoos, perfume, got me feeling so damn cute, no blues, yeah, I'm feeling so high, about to elevate that sun, taking the view when I walk into the room, everything that I make, every look I create, yeah, I elevate the mood, change the game, make the rules, everything that I touch goes from good to great, yeah, I elevate. Oh, I wanna elevate the style.
Here we are, Winton, not too far away from Benalla in country Victoria. 3 kilometres in length, 12 corners. There's plenty of action zones as we go down pit straight. Turn number 1 is one of those action zones, and so is turn number 2. As you can see, you can easily lose a wheel there. We saw a mirror being lost in that last HQ race. A good overtaking point is turn number 3, the old turn number 1 back in the 80s and 90s. Through the tight technical section of the course and down into possibly the best overtaking point, turn number 11. Easy to make a mistake there, as we can see. Many have done it. As we can see, opened back in 1961. John Magro holds the lap record here in a Formula 3 car, 1:14.3, but we're looking at a different open wheeler category out there on the racetrack at the moment. Australian Formula Ford, and alongside me is Icky Harrington. Great to have you alongside me, mate. Really looking forward to this one. A great first round up at Bathurst, of all places.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. It's great to be here and great to have the coverage from Blend TV. Blendline TV, sorry. Yeah, Bathurst was awesome. It's been a pretty big hiatus since we were up there last time. I think it was around 2012, something like that. So I'm really happy to get the national series back up to Bathurst, and you know, there's some spectacular racing up there, but looking forward to what we can see here at round 2 at Winton. It's been absolutely spectacular weather-wise the last 2 days, so couldn't ask for better conditions here.
Very much been spoilt, haven't we? As you say, blue skies for the last 2 days. So we'll run you through the grid. It'll be Jack Bossy from pole position alongside Zach Lobko at a challenging event at Bathurst. He'll be looking to rebound here this weekend. Then we got Frugus out of position number 3 alongside Joe Fawcett. Kobe Williams will come out of 5th alongside Everly. Then Rowe Sellers will come out of position number 8. Then we got Locchiono. Bezic down in position number 10 ahead of Radburn, Strickland, Mains Rutty, Manif, Evernet and Paul Ziddy. There's some big names a little bit further down the field here in this one that I'd expect to see a little further up.
Yeah, so you know, like you said, the 2 Synergy drivers, Vedi Bezic and Cody Mains Rutty, are 1 and 2 in the championship. Had a few struggles in qualifying, but it's Jack Bussey, the Spectrum driver, who is on pole for the 2nd time out of 2 rounds, so he'll be hoping to convert that into some good points hauls in this race here.
Absolutely, you can hear the engines revving. We're just moments away from the commencement of round 2, Australian Formula Ford on the rev limiter, and we are underway. Pretty even jump between the top 2. Who's it going to be on the drag race to turn number 1? Lobco on the outside with the overlap, but a big late send from Bussey to hold on to first position. But he's got a compromised exit. He defends down into turn number 3. Lobco slots back into second position, and who's this around the outside? It's Joe Fawcett trying to take position number 3, but has to think better of it. He's pushed out slightly wide on the exit of the corner, and it costs him momentum down into the sweeper. He slots down into 6th position.
Yeah, that was the CHE driver of Daniel Frugas, who qualified 3rd, who muscled his way up into back into 3rd position at turn 4 there at the cost of Joe Fawcett.
Around the technical section of the course, we're looking at Frugas, who, as you say, just took 3rd position with an aggressive but clean move down at turn number 3, just ahead of Kobe Williams, who's also moved up a position into 4th. So a bit of jostling in the after the top 2 positions, and that's mainly been because of Joe Fawcett moving backwards after running wide at turn number 3. Here we go, big lunge further
Eddie
back.
Beswick with a big send up into turn 11 there, isn't it? Turn 11?
It
That's
is
right.
turn 11, but unfortunately, contact. And he goes through into the gravel trap, made the move, ran a little bit wide, and on the cutback there was further contact, and that ends up in the gravel trap, beached, wheels spinning, no movement, and that'll likely be a safety car, unfortunately. How did you read that one?
Yeah, look, it was a big move under brakes there into turn 11. It looked like he got it done nice and cleanly, but I'm going to pass judgment on it. The turn 12 incident, I'll hand that over to our DSO, Stephen White, who's, he's well rehearsed in investigating these situations, and I'll leave that up to him to decide what transpired there post-race.
I think that's a fair call. As we see, the safety car has been deployed. So, yeah, a shame there, but a decision that had to be made. That was really right in the line of fire. So,
another one
car
out.
stopped.
That's Lachlan Evanet from the Brett Francis's racing team. He had troubles in qualifying with an engine miss. So obviously they haven't been able to rectify that. And we see him stranded out. Is it on the
pit straight?
Pit straight, yeah. So while they're recovering Eddie Bezic, they're obviously going to have to recover that second car as well. Here's a replay of Bezic. And it was the car of Logan Evanley tied up in that as well. So unfortunately, that's our championship leader out on the first lap.
He made such a good recovery. We said he qualified out of position, made a great recovery just outside the top 6. Brilliant move down at turn number 11, but with the late dive came just a slight run wide, and that left the door open into turn number 12, and the rest, they say, is history, and the result is a collision and a safety car. So that's what we are currently under. Hopefully that car of Evanet will be removed as well. Fortunately in the same area, so should be a reasonably quick recovery. No real damage, just getting out of gravel traps. A quick couple of toes and we should be back underway.
Yeah, so you can see the safety car at minimum speed there. I'd say 60 k's an hour holding up the field, trying to maximise the amount of laps we're going to get in our time certain session. You see the drivers weaving, keeping their Yokohama tyres warm.
There's going to be a bit of debate about that one, isn't there?
Yeah.
I was far enough up the inside at number 12. Oh, no, you weren't. It's going to be decided in the steward's room, and we could see Bezic coming into the lane. Championship leader, not the day at Winton he would have hoped for. Qualifying a little bit further down than where we expected and ending in the gravel on lap number 1. Hopefully that'll just be cleaned up and then we can see him back out on the track to hopefully get some much needed points at this stage of the season.
It looks like they're still working on the Lachlan Evanet's car down on pit straight. I can see a recovery vehicle down there. They're trying to get that away before we go green again.
Got a really good calendar over the coming months. Morgan Park up next in Queensland. Then you're on the Supercars bill at Symonds Plains later in the year, and then ending with 2 Vic State rounds on Blendline TV at Sandown and Phillip Island finish. Great variety.
Yeah, Sydney Motorsport Park before Morgan
Oh, sorry,
Park.
yes, I missed that.
So,
yes, yep.
back to New South Wales and Queensland, then all the way down to Tassie for the Supercar round. So that'll be exciting getting back there again this year for the second time down at Tassie with the Supercars. So, yeah, no, it's exciting championship ahead of us, early days. So, yeah, there's a long way to go, and we'll see what unfolds.
This category has been around for so many decades, hasn't it? It's
in our 6th decade.
Yes, exactly. It's so many stars have come through this. Craig Lowndes, Stephen Richards, Garth Tander, Mark Winterbottom, Jamie Wincup, more recently Chaz Mostert, Nick Percat, Tom Randall. The list just goes on and on.
Yep.
I think it's something like 90% of the V8 Supercar field has come through this category, or it was a couple of years ago anyway. It's a remarkable breeding ground for superstars, not only in supercars but overseas as well. Hunter McElroy, a front runner a couple of years ago, he's now doing great things in the IndyCar junior category, Indy Next, and he's really turning heads over there. So it really does show that it's a breeding ground for international motorsport as well. It really does teach such great racecraft.
It's something that we've always prided ourselves on. You know, the proof is in the pudding on the racetrack there. This is the proving ground where drivers learn the most. You know, that's not only technically on how to set up a car, how to work with engineers, but it's also in racecraft and how to manage themselves on the track as well. So, you know, hopefully we've got another 50 years ahead of us as well.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. No, it's been, as we say, a stalwart of Australian motorsport. Even Larry Perkins winning in the very early days of the championship. So that just shows how far back this category goes. And of course, Larry himself had a successful Formula One career. He made it overseas and then came back to Australia and won as many Bathursts as he did. I'd love to actually do a count of how many champions and Bathursts that have been won by people that have been through Formula Ford. The point I'm going to make as well is this is the future. You're looking at the future Jamie Wincups, the future Shane Van Gisbergen's, the future Cam Waters and the like on screen in front of us. This is where all the stars come from. So look out for these names in the future. They'll be going places in the next few years. They'll be popping up in Super 2 or Carrera Cup in the coming years.
Yep, there's plenty of them out there in all the more senior categories, if you want to call them that. You know, from TCR to throughout all of Australian categories. But yeah, likewise overseas as well. So
that is good news. We can see at the bottom of the screen, safety car in at the end of this lap. That'll leave us with about 8 minutes, 7 to 8 minutes of racing in what is round 2 of Australian Formula Ford. This is the opening race. They've got 2 more tomorrow. But let's call what we are looking at on the screen, and that is Jack Bossy ahead of Lobco and Frugas. This is going to be an entertaining and frantic restart. It's a real sprint race now to the finish with just over 5 minutes left on the clock. Who's going to prevail? Nice restart from Bossy, gets on the power nicely out of turn 12. No wheel spin, but he's going to have to go defensive down in turn number 1. Lobco, though, is under real pressure from Frugas, who sends it to the outside. Can't make it stick there, but that's going to give him a nice run through 2, and maybe an attack at 3, particularly when Lobco gets sideways. And here he goes up the inside in the number 27 machine. He makes it stick. Great move from Frugas, and out wide goes Lobco. Oh, bit of contact. There's definite contact
Williams,
there.
who's gone past Lobco as well, which sends him back another couple of places there. Some action, frenetic action there on the opening lap of the restart.
Certainly was. I expected it, and it very much delivered. And it's going to continue as we see down into turn number 7. That was Fawcett, who's trying to recover in the 23 machine, having a look up the inside of a car. I couldn't see particularly which one it was. Number 7 of Lobco it was, who has, of course, fallen back on this lap. Oh, 29 machine, down at turn number 3.
Yeah, so she's had a little incident. I can't see where she is on the circuit.
Over here, turn 3.
Turn 3, but she's out of the car. Not sure what happened there, but and we've gone safety car again as a result. The car sitting in a dangerous position on the outside of turn 3. Unfortunately, we go yellows again.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame, but it's what you expect sometimes in close wheel-to-wheel racing. Of course, Formula Fords, the way they're designed with the wheels, the way they hang out of the chassis, you can sometimes see tangled wheels, but that is another reason why it promotes good racing. It's all about slipstream. It's the way the cars are designed, and as we say, proof is in the pudding of how many stars it's produced over the years. We'll have a look at the current championship standings, because as we say, the series leader on 50 points is out of this race. In fact, he has rejoined, albeit 2 laps down at the back of the pack. So, yeah, a real shame for Eddie Bezic. Cody Mains-Rotti, his teammate, joint 50 points coming into this round. He's made his way up to 10th, but again, it's really left the door open for the guys behind. Daniel Frugas is on 38 points, and he finds himself in second, so this will launch him right into the title fight. So good for those in third onwards in the championship. Frugas on 38 points, Sellers on 33 points, Kobe Williams 32 points. So yeah, the top 2 really having a challenging opening day at Winton, and it's opened the door for those behind to close that margin, and they will do so in this race alone.
It's good for the championship.
It certainly is. not for the top 2 of Bezic and Mains-Rotti though.
Not necessarily the way we want it to happen, but yeah, it's going to be, after this race, it's going to be very close up the front there, isn't it? So.
Just going to have a replay to see if we can spot what has happened here and the reason for the safety car. Let's have a look at the bottom of the shot.
Some great passing there, great racing. So Lobco got a bit loose on the exit of 3 as Daniel Frugas made that great pass, which made him vulnerable to an attack from Kobe Williams, and he got the job done at turn 4 with another nice move.
So you can see the racing was all happening there, and then you could see some dust at the bottom of the shot, and that was Imogen Radburn facing the wrong way at turn number 3. So clearly damaged, because normally if you have a spin there at turn 3, if you're not in the gravel, you normally get back on the road. So clearly some sort of damage, contact with another machine, I'd think. And
you've got to remember, Dan, you know, that a lot of these kids are 15, 16, 17 years old. You know, they're fresh to motor racing or in cars. Majority of them have all raced extensively in go-karts. But, you know, it's the nature of the category. They race hard. They're very young and enthusiastic, and these things happen. But actually, mentioning the age, Jack Bussey from Queensland, he's 22 years old.
Yeah, okay.
He's one of the old. Well, he is a bit of a veteran.
I was going to say,
he's not a veteran. He hasn't been at it for long, but he's definitely one of the older statesmen in the field.
Funny, isn't it? 22, and you're considered an older statesman in Formula Ford. It really does show how young they come up through the ranks these days, doesn't it? I mean, particularly, it really started of note, I thought, when Verstappen made it to Formula 1 at the age of 17 or whatever he was back then, and that just shows how young they are getting into racing. Of course, karting starts all the way down at the age of 7 or 8, and then they're so experienced by the time they're 14, 15 and looking to get into car racing for the first time.
It is a big jump, though, going from a go-kart into one of these. It's completely different with the semi-treaded Yokohama tyre. They're not a slick. That's all-weather tyre that we use for wet and dry conditions. So the speeds are higher. There's more mass to control. The braking zones are longer. The cornering distances, the cornering loads are higher and longer. So it is a big jump for these young drivers to move from karts into these, and it does take a little while for them to get to grips and really on top of a Formula Ford.
Logan Everly is one of those very young ones, 16 years old. I mean, the average age of this category, just looking through, is about 18, 19 years old. It really is quite remarkable how young they are, and they do such a good job at driving these high-performance vehicles. And then a veteran in the Gilles.
Let's welcome back Paul Ziddy. So he increases the average age of the field quite a lot, because Paul is probably 51 or 52, I think. So, yeah, great to see him back on the field and running around towards the back of the field. But having a great time out there.
He certainly is. Often joins us on commentary, but out there on the track in the brilliantly presented Jill's Pretty Special livery, not the cigarette brand that you might be familiar with. The text has been changed, and I'm hearing in my ear, unfortunately, this looks set to be the final lap of the race. So disappointing news, but we did get some good action when it was green, that's for certain.
Yeah, I mean, my big hope was that they got through turn 1 and 2 on the opening lap, because the way it funnels down into turn 1 is always a pinch point. They got through that cleanly, but unfortunately we had that little trip at the end of lap 1.
I've just heard in my ear, you can see safety car in this lap. They've removed the last lap board, and we're going for a one-lap sprint. So a late change of plan out there at Winton. Great work from the officials. So we are going to have a one-lap sprint to the finish. So yeah, they had the board ready and everything to put out, to wave the checker flag and everything. But no, one-lap sprint to the finish. We saw how frantic it was on that last restart. I'm expecting the same.
Pressure really on Jack Bussey here, who's fighting for his first win at the national level. Same with Daniel Frugas in second place, who was really strong recently at Sydney Motorsport Park and took the round win up there. But it's Bussey who's got a clean start and leads cleanly into turn 1 and 2, but the battle is between Williams and Frugas for second and third right now.
Yeah, Frugas having to go defensive at turn 1. He's trying to go defensive again, but Williams has got up the inside and he's made it stick. Oh, a bit of contact on the exit, and wide goes Frugas. And more contact.
Harrison Sellers from the Ultratech team has got his Spectrum up into second place there now.
He's been beaten from pillar to post and he's dropped right down the field now, has Frugas. That was such a shame. Oh, sideways down into turn number 7. Sellers has made a brilliant restart from 4th to 2nd, but he's coming under pressure from the person he just overtook. Williams is not letting him out of his sights. He's having a look into turn number 9. Can't make it stick this time through. That's his last chance at that corner. He's got 3 more corners if he wants to reclaim second.
And this battling for second, third, fourth, sixth, and all the way down has opened up the gap for Jack Bussey, who is sitting pretty out in front now and has a 5 or so car length lead out in front. 2 more corners to go for his first race win.
Apparently we're going another lap again. Last lap board is being presented this time through.
Oh, a few more corners to go for Jack.
It's changing every time I'm getting the information in my ear of what race control are doing. And yes, no checkered flag. So last lap is now upon us. It's changing by the second. And here we go. Williams to the outside at turn number 1. Looking for a good exit now. Through turn number 2, a bit of mid-corner understeer. It's going to mean he's not quite close enough. And in fact, he's coming under pressure from the recovering Lobco. Into turn number 3. Bussey's bolted. Bussey's gone 1 second ahead of this, the fight for second. Sellers, Williams, Lobco and Fawcett. Second through to 5th. You could throw a very small blanket over them.
Yeah, this battle for second is massive. They've got 1 lap to settle it. But as you said, it's opened the door for Bussey really just to cruise home, make sure he hits all his marks and keep his head and not make any mistakes, and the win is in the bag for him.
Oh, bit of contact further back. Lobco being ever so slightly nudged by Fawcett. But at the front of this train, Sellers has eked out an ever so slight margin over Williams. Williams had a look at turn 7, and it's cost him momentum. Further back, Fawcett having another look in the 23 machine on Lobco. Well, it's been entertaining, this opening Formula Ford encounter, that is for certain. Bussey looks set to take the win, but behind it's still all to play for.
Great to see we got those 2 clean green laps at the end to finish this race off with some really good racing.
And here he is, Bussey taking his first win at national level ahead of Sellers, Williams and Lobco. Oh, so tight further back. Mains Rutti had a great restart, made up several places and finished in 7th position. A good recovery drive for the joint championship leader coming into that race. That was frenetic and action-packed, that's for certain. We're just going to get a replay of all that happened on that restart. So this is Williams getting the number 27 machine. There's contact there, and then as Frugas rejoins again, there's more contact here at turn 4, and that put him through the gravel once again. And unfortunately for Frugas, finished all the way down in 12th position, a race that promised so much more.
They race hard. They give nothing, do they? So that's what we expect of this championship. You know, like you mentioned, it's the young guys of the future. They fight hard for it, and you know, they're cutting their teeth, and this is what will make them champions of the future.
Absolutely. Here are the results then. Jack Bossy taking the win in the end, but was quite a comfortable 1.7 second win over Harrison. Sellers just 1/10 between he and Kobe Williams. Beyond that, Lobco, Fawcett, Leonicano, Mains Rutty, Everly, Rowe, Manif. Strickland finished in 11th, ahead of Frugus, who dropped to 12th. Paul Ziddy came home in 13th. Eddie Bezic did finish the championship leader. I don't think he will be anymore after that one, in 14th, 2 laps down. And then non-finishers, Radburn and Evanet. Thanks ever so much for joining me for that one.
One interesting point, that it was worthwhile Eddie Bezic staying out there, because 14th, he still gets a point.
Absolutely,
yeah.
yep,
so
absolutely.
that could count at the end of the year.
100%, 100%. Points make prizes come the end of the year. Absolutely. Always worth getting back on track if you can. Very important, potentially 14th come the end of the season for Eddie Bezic, but he'll have a lot of work to do from the back of the grid tomorrow.
2 more races to go.
Indeed, indeed. Absolutely. Thank you very much, E, for joining me in that one. Very much enjoyed that, and look forward to having you in the comms box once again tomorrow.
Yep, thanks for having me. See you tomorrow.
Indeed. Up next, Australian Formula Open. We're looking forward to that one, as the Formula 3 and a few other familiar open wheel cars will head out onto the racetrack for their first race of the weekend. That was our pole sitter, McMillan, receiving his $500 prize for taking pole position. Stole it on the final lap of the session from Bromley. So this is Australian Formula Open here at Winton Motor Raceway. Basically, if it's an open wheeler, you can pop it in this category, whether it be a Formula 3 car, Formula 4 car, or anything in between. We've even got an old Formula Holden out there. Looking forward to this one. Round number 1 of this series was part of the Shannon's Bill at Sandown Motor Raceway. And here we are again in Victoria at Winton. So Ryan McMillan will come out of pole alongside Miles Bromley, who did really well in round number 1, took pole and won the first 2 races. Unfortunately, a mistake in the final one saw him finish a bit further down, but he starts out a second ahead of Bo Russell and Kyle Evans of Gilmore Racing. Beyond that, we got Isaac McNeil, Rodney Baker, George Kanzios, Lawrence Katzis, then Douglas Barry, Matthew Rosler, Jaden Hamilton, Arthur Abrahams. And then beyond that, Ron Bennett, Greg Muddle, and Nathan Beer. Yeah, Sandown was some brilliant racing between the front 4 or 5 machines. Looking forward to seeing what McMillan, Bromley, Russell and Evans can do again in this one. We'll delve into all the classes as the race goes on, but at the front of the field it's the outright 01 category cars, the Formula 3 cars, but yeah, we'll go through the other classes a little bit later on. Alongside me, once again, it's double Dan's. Dan McCarthy alongside me for this one is Dan Beckinsale. Great to have you alongside me again, mate.
Yeah, no, good to be back up here for some Formula Open racing. Of course, they're supported this weekend by Formula Race Cars and Sydney Photo Booth. The New South Wales Championship joining forces to be able to put together a big category of wings and slicks cars. It's great to see when you look at a shot like that, how many different cars there are in this nation, of course. Multiple years, multiple varieties, multiple types of going wings and slicks racing. It doesn't matter when we put them all on the track together, but it'll be these front, 2-3 rows that are the ones we watch out for the GT Formula Open Championship. Of course, huge thanks to GT for their support. Tim Macro putting a lot of work in behind the scenes to make sure that this keeps going and provides a place as a stepping stone and a pathway still to be able to get overseas, get international, get involved in what is pinnacle formulas around the world as we wait for the red lights here for the start of this one.
Smoke coming out the back of the cars as they plug a gear, and we are underway. Looks like Bromley's got the better start, but he'll have the outside for turn 1. Doesn't matter. He's got the move already. Takes the position down into turn number 1. Brilliant start from Miles Bromley ahead of McMillan, and then behind Russell slots in Russell slots in third ahead of Evans.
Katsitas there with a move down the inside to take the position away from Rosler, so he's picked up a spot there. Actually, I think he's dropped back 1. These two might have got swamped a little bit down through turns 1 and 2. It was interesting at the start there. It did actually look like the jump went to McMillan, but the secondary went to Bromley with the better drive once he got the car rolling, and he was able to just pull across the front and get himself down through turn 1 and 2. And if you can open those two corners up in these formula cars, you can open up a gap incredibly quickly. So ones to watch for as we look further down. Oh, nice move to the inside there to be able to take that position from the 27 of Kanzios. And I think he's dropped a little bit further down the field because he's battling right down the back, but actually qualified in the mid-pack. So that Formula, I think it's a Formula 4 car looking to come back through and be able to get itself back up here. We've seen in the interesting, I guess you could say, 5-second penalty for car 12 for a false start, so that's Baker. He's leading the Formula Race Car Association at the moment. But the interesting thing about the Formula 4 cars and Formula 3 cars that we sort of noticed in previous seasons is the agility of the F4 car. They actually can be able to stay in amongst it over a lap pace. It's when they get stuck in the battles, they don't have the power that we see from the F3s as we go here and look at Russell and Evans battling in third and fourth down through turn 4. Not much more than 2 or 3 car lengths between the two of them. And this is where you know you're driving something with a bit of speed. That sweeper around the big gum tree down through the back of Winton on the brakes, try to tip it in. You'll see little brake lockups there as they lighten the front right wheel and now work their way through the back section as now Russell is coming under increasing pressure from Evans. We take on board with Evans here. It's right up behind him. How good's that sound as well?
I thought that. Exactly what I thought as he got on the power out of turn number 9. Absolutely fantastic. Let's listen to it again, exiting turn number 10. Awesome, awesome. He's going to line up a move here. Forces Russell to go defensive. And he has to slot back in behind. Can he get a run and cut back up the inside at turn 12? No, not on this occasion. He's got a good run out of turn number 12 though, but is there enough slipstream, enough toe down towards turn number 1 again, forcing Russell to go defensive. He'll have to go the long way, maybe force him a compromise run out of turn number 2. I think that's what he's trying. He'll get a good run through 2, but he's nowhere near close enough. He's going to have to keep trying, keep hounding the back of Russell, force the number 22 machine into an unforced error, or a forced error, I should say.
I tell you what, the trackside cameras are great for being able to see battles and how these cars work, but the onboard just brings another dimension to how the fight is around a circuit like Winton. You can see how the battle between these two has ebbed and flowed. In the second portion of this lap, it looks like Russell has actually found a lot more pace, but now Evans will close again through the tight section of the circuit. He's not as close as he was a lap ago. So that'll be different tyre phasing coming in, being able to get the grip and feel it under you. What people don't realise is in these cars as well, there is so much more done by feel of everything, really. Hands, feet, your bum down close to the road. You'd get a different feeling than you see in a tin top car. And that enables you to know what you need to do at different times during the race, as Russell now just has that little bit of gap. Bromley set the best lap of the race at a 17.9 on lap 2. So he's 2 to 3 tenths of a second quicker than everybody else out there at the moment. And go further back down the field to look at some more battles going on. As just after I said that, McMillan then sets the fastest lap, so they're trading it at the front. We see here Lawrence Katsidas. He is just holding off Kancios.
Yes, it is. Yeah. A good battle between these two machines.
Oh.
And an unforced error there. That's exactly what Evans wants to see Russell do in the fight for third position. So change of place. The number 27 moving on through.
And it just shows as well, these guys pairing off. There's battles all the way through the field, even though we're probably not used to seeing things like that in wings and slicks racing, because of course you come up against aero wash and all sorts of problems when you're trying to tail somebody very closely. But all the way through here, as we look like, I think that's Hamilton in the 43 and in front of him Bennett in the 51. So this is also a Formula race car versus a Formula Open.
Yes.
And now it looks like he's going to try Hamilton to the inside. It doesn't work through the sweeper. He should be able to jag it to the inside now, and if you can be late on the brakes, no, not quite able to get there to the inside. What you don't realise as well, probably after you've watched so much,
that's a big lock-up
there. Just as you go to make a comment on how the circuit behaviour affects these cars, they swap positions. But something that you don't think about, even with Formula Ford, when you see them racing here at Winton, is they'll use a bit of curb. But in these sort of cars, it's imperative to stay away from the curb, stay off it, because they're quite large down through the back section of the circuit. And we've got car in the wall at 4.
I believe it's Evans from 4th position. So Russell had just started to pull away in 3rd, and it is
on board with him there. Oh, he's hit the wall hard, that tyre.
Yeah, and he's not getting out of there.
Absolutely.
He won't be able to get out of there in a 4-wheel drive almost.
Turns
It's
the
that
car
deep.
off.
He's frustrated. You can see he's gestating in the car, but he is in the wall, the Coates Hire sponsored wall on the outside of turn number 4. That's a real shame for him. Just trying to keep up with the top 3.
Yep.
And he's made a mistake and hit the wall. And safety car has been deployed in this, the opening race of round 2 in GT Australian Formula Open. GT, a tyre manufacturer that's jumped on board with this category in recent times, and we can see a replay, an onboard replay of exactly what happened. Russell set the fastest lap of the race last time through, and I think Evans has just been really keen to stay with him into turn number 3. Things all look good there, but it's on the exit. I think dropped a wheel wide, do you reckon?
I think he's just touched the... just got a wheel on the gravel on turn in, I would suspect. And as he's tipped it in, he's just met that limit of adhesion, not able to get the grip. Find yourself half a car width wide, and by then that wall is actually a lot closer to the circuit than people would realise. Of course, we've seen cars like V8 Supercars. I think it was Cameron McConville went in there backwards one year and rolled the car when it's hit the top of the barrier. So it's pretty close to be able to get to the wall on the outside there.
I always remember Chaz Mostert 2015 parked with the back of the car up in the air on the tyre barrier, and that was something that really cost him crucial championship points midway through that season when he was in the title fight. But of course, that championship coming to an early end for him when he injured himself at Bathurst in qualifying. But yeah, as we say, it's caught out the very best in the business. Chaz Mostert, Cam McConville, and Kyle Evans, the latest victim of the turn 4 gravel trap and wall. I like the helmet. I really like the helmet design. But unfortunately, it's not able to get out of that gravel trap under his own steam. He's going to be towed out.
I tell you what, it's a tale of 2 rounds for Evans, isn't it? After seeing success at Sandown,
absolutely,
getting a victory, being able to get climbing up in the championship points, and now he'll have all the work to do tomorrow from the back of the field. I dare say we'll want to keep our onboard on him for tomorrow's race. Make sure to tune in to the GT Formula Open Australia Championship.
No, you're right, absolutely. Took his maiden win in the final race. As we say, Miles Bromley really dominated the early part of that weekend, qualifying on pole for the first time, winning race 1, winning race 2, and then it all came unstuck in race number 3, and Evans capitalised and took what was his maiden victory as well. So it's a maiden wins and poles going everywhere in round number 1 of the season. And then McMillan here today taking pole position, stealing it off Bromley on the final lap, and doing so by just 0.05 of a second. It was a pretty intense qualifying session earlier on today. But race 1 here on Blendline TV. And of course, Blendline TV will be showing a later round of this championship as well at the Bend, where it's part of the Super Trofeo event.
Yeah, that's right. They'll head to Sydney Motorsport Park on the last weekend of May for the 3rd round of the season. And if you like your wings and slicks and grassroots motorsport, that will be one to get out and see, because these things are incredibly fast there. Then they head down to Sydney Motorsport Park on the 24th, 26th of May, and then we go across to the Bend on the June long weekend. Actually, no, it's the weekend after the June long weekend, isn't it then? 7th, 9th of June, for them supporting Lamborghini Super Trofeo, which is a huge weekend of racing. They head up to Queensland in August, back to Sydney Motorsport Park in late October, before finally finishing off at Island Magic in November. And last year, the rains opened late in the race for a Formula Open during their round at Island Magic, and Phillip Island becomes quite a treacherous circuit under those conditions. Looking to see, I didn't notice that about the 27 colour scheme until just now, the slow pan, and we see it's got a lovely marbling oiled effect on it. So no wonder it looks a little bit different every time we look at it on the camera footage here at Winton Motor Raceway. Yeah,
Cancios, number 27 machine. That's fantastic. Really, really nicely presented machine. And I can see just behind these cars, Evans is joining the back of the queue. Here he is. Filthy tyres. I wouldn't want to be pushing too hard on those, but he's back in the race, and he will, if he finishes, get points in the bag. Not as many as he'd have liked, but points nevertheless are points. You're pointing. What are you saying?
I'm just thinking how it's a really interesting and good representation of how you clean the tyres off here from the onboard camera. You can see how there's still dust on the edges of the sidewalls, so it shows you that when they come down into a tight corner, this is how a car can go off the track. And the things, they've cleaned the tyres, and then they tip into a corner and they've actually got no lateral grip because the edges haven't cleaned off yet. You can see as he works his way around the back section of the circuit how much work there still is to do to be able to reach ultimate grip in that car. So
yes,
it's just interesting.
And there you can see now it's almost clean, and we are about to go back to racing. Safety car in at the end of this lap. Bromley is controlling the field. Bromley, McMillan, Russell, and then McNeil. Behind that in 5th, first of the Formula Race cars category, but has a 5-second penalty over his head. Baker will be wanting to pull a 5-second margin over Abrahams and the field behind. But let's look at the Formula Open battle at the front.
How close he is. You could almost reach out and touch the gearbox here as they come down to the main straight. And Bromley has actually still been able to get the jump. McMillan's not sure whether he needs to defend from Russell or focus on Bromley. Needs to get the drive out of 2 and not get Bromley too far down the road here, or he won't be able to throw anything at him in the late stages of this one. Russell sitting right there as well.
Certainly is right there as they go around turn number 4. It's quite a deceiving corner. It really goes down a hill, and I think that's what caught Evans out just before. It really falls away from you down into the braking zone at turn 4. And the road tightens up, not as much as it used to, with the curb being flattened and extended out wide on both turns 3 and turns 4. But Bromley is putting the hammer down. He's trying to pull a margin, and he is doing so early on in this restart. He's got that margin out to, I reckon, about half a second at this point in time. McMillan's not going to let him go. These two fighting it out. McMillan had a bit of contact in race 1 of the first round at Sandown, and then it was a real recovery from there for the remainder of the weekend. Did well, recovered, got good championship points, and he will no doubt be in the title fight for the remainder of the season with Bromley and with Evans and with Russell as they head down in towards turn number 1. Laps ticking away now. We've had nearly 17 minutes. Remember, it's 18 minutes plus 1 lap, so we're really getting down to the nitty-gritty end of the race. 8 tenths of margin. Bromley to McMillan. and then a further 8/10 between McMillan and Russell. It's actually Russell that set the best lap of the race, but on this restart, hasn't quite been able to match those two ahead. You can see, though, around the tight technical section of the course, they are still nose to tail. There we are, Bromley, McMillan and Russell. Just as I was saying, McMillan's just struggling to keep with them. All of a sudden, he's honed onto the back. So Russell right on the tail now of McMillan, with just a couple of laps remaining. Great to see Formula 3 cars here at Winton, really pushing, of course. Formula 3 cars have the lap record here at Winton. They are far superior to Supercars, Carrera Cup or any other category that race around this track, just due to the downforce and the grip that these machines make.
And you wouldn't really think of it for a Winton circuit. That downforce and grip is so imperative to lap time, but then you look at a few of the corners, especially the sweeper down the back through 5, braking zone into 6, being able to just, settle the car through there. You're going to gain bunches of time. And the 1-2 complex as well. As we look down through the field, you can see a great battle down the back between the Formula Race Car Association cars. Of course, brought to you by Sydney Photo Booth this weekend. Thanks to Lawrence Casitas for him and Formula Race Cars supporting the GT Australian Formula Open. It's great to see both parties working together for the good of the sport and the good of Formula Open racing in Australia, as we take a look at that great livery on the side of the Cancios car.
And just behind the Formula Holden, of all things, driven by Barry, something completely different there. I'm sure we'll see that later on or in tomorrow's race, and we'll talk about it a bit more, because at the moment we want to focus on this battle at the front of the field. Last time through, they were almost identical on times. I can hear some tyre squeal there at the turn number 9 corner.
Picked something up, didn't they?
It certainly did, but no spinners. We can see out our commentary box window. But last time through, a 17.21 for Bromley, 17.26 for McMillan, 17.17 for Russell, all within a 1/10 of a second. Let's see last time what they're going to do. This time it's McMillan that's the fastest, 2/10 faster than Bromley ahead, but this is the final lap of the race. I'm hearing in my ear, final lap. So just 3 kilometres if any one of these want to make the difference. McMillan, PB last time through, 1/10 faster than the leader, but what can he do? Can he do anything? I think he's running out of time. Here we go further back. The Formula Holden attacking the Formula 3 car. That's the number 17 machine of the recovering Evans, who's 2 laps down, of course. And here we are back to the race leader, Bromley, looking to make it his 3rd race win of the season in just 4 races. It's been a good start for the Queenslander, who's relocated to Victoria in the last couple of years, working for Tim Macro. And his operation, of course, Tim Macro, Formula 3 veteran and champion, who now fields so many cars in this championship and many other open wheel series.
He's going to bring it home here comfortably in the end, isn't he, Bromley? He managed to manage the gap after the restart, and he now weaves side to side to celebrate. He felt comfortable coming towards the line. McMillan chases the home. He sets the best lap of the race, a 16.7 on that final lap with the weaving down the main straight to celebrate that victory, as we take a look further back through the field at some of these cars, including Evans, who had a tough race after sitting there. He probably felt a bit comfortable that he may be able to throw something at Russell and McMillan. But unfortunately for him, he's just lost out and brings it along to the line. So a great opening race for the GT Formula Open Championship here at Winton Motor Raceway with the Formula Race Car Association. I'll tell you what, Dan, if that was anything to go by, I'm looking forward to Evans coming through tomorrow and seeing if McMillan or Russell can throw anything at Bromley.
Absolutely. Brilliant, brilliant race there from those guys. And Baker taking the win despite the 5-second penalty, so that made no difference in the outcome there. Abrahams in the Rolt couldn't quite keep up. Thanks very much, Dan Beckinsale, for joining me for that one, as we have a look at the top 10 and the results from that one. So 8/10 margin in the end, Bromley to McMillan. Could have probably set an even faster time if he didn't weave across the line at the end of that one. Bo Russell coming home in 3rd ahead of Isaac McNeil. Rodney Baker in 5th. Arthur Abrahams in 6th. Then beyond that, Douglas Barry, George Cancios in that brilliantly presented 27 machine. Matthew Rosler won the Formula 4 category in car number 4. And then beyond that, we have Katsidis, Hamilton, Beer, and Evans, and then the non-finishers, Ron Bennett and Muddle. Look for Evans tomorrow. He'll be a man on a mission recovering from P number 13. Here he is coming back to the pits. So fortunately no damage. He did touch the wall, but yeah, no damage. And of course, Australian Formula Open supported by GT Tyres, All Properties Group as well. So many sponsors making this category happen out there on the racetrack. Very much enjoyed that. Now, if you are watching on Blendline TV, that will end our broadcast for today, I believe. I'm just going to have one quick look. Yes, so that does conclude the Blendline TV coverage from today. If you want to watch the next race, make sure you tune in on Blendline TV Premium this evening. That'll be uploaded, but we'll be back on Blendline TV, YouTube and Facebook, and of course on their website, live and free from 9:20 Australian Eastern Standard Time. So we look forward to having you then when the first category hits the track. That will be Formula Ford. It will be improved production. So we look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 9:20.
I've pinched the rear coming to that corner. I tried to catch it. Yeah, it's okay, mate. You've got to go on again, and you did well. Okay.